I was born with a visual impairment and dyslexia, so unfortunately for me, I wasn't allowed to go to mainstream schools. So I was placed into a school, classed as a special needs residential school for spastic children, right? I was in that setting for 11 years, from the age of 6 to 17. And basically all I remember for the first 4 years was falling asleep most nights crying, missed my family, until I reached the age of about 10, forgot about my family, became what you would call institutionalised. Even though there were some good experiences at that school, there was also some negative. And unfortunately, the traumatic childhood experiences outweigh the positive experiences. I left there at 17, couldn't get a job, disabilities let me down, wasn't the technology that was available today to support somebody like myself. Really started to struggle in life in general, didn't know who I was meant to be in this big world we live in, society, and my mental health was deteriorating fast. Just didn't want to be here any longer, didn't want to be in the world any longer. And I started to drink. I started to use drugs. I became addicted for a couple of decades. But unfortunately, to pay for that addiction, I got myself involved in crime. And I got a 4.5-year prison sentence for the crimes I committed. But then in prison, I thought to myself, I want to try and get re-educated now. Things have moved on in the world. But still, yet again, I found myself a person who needed a few extra help in hands, couldn't get that in prison. So I spent a lot of time in my prison cell, 23 hours a day, having all sorts of thoughts going on in my head. And one day I sort of had an epiphany, a dream, a light bulb moment, where I thought to myself, well, I can actually use my life experience to help others, maybe not make some of the mistakes I did, or go down some of the paths or the roads I did. And that was my idea. Unfortunately, I was released from prison, homeless, straight on the streets of this city of Stoke-on-Trent, and that dream was sort of shattered at that time. Eventually I was picked up by a support agency, helped to get back on my feet. Then I started to think about that dream I had in prison, but still found it quite difficult. I was in lots of different supported housing accommodations. People were on a total different journey to what I was on. I was still on licence for the crimes I committed. That was quite difficult, and then I was invited to a focus group, and the reason I turned up, to be honest with you, I hadn't eaten for 3 days, couldn't get any benefits, and someone says there's a 10 quid voucher and there's going to be free food. So I turned up and I met this guy who I'm still good friends with today, and he sort of we got talking about his life experience, my life experience, and he sort of showed me that actually it is possible to do what I wanted to do whilst I was in prison. And that focus group then led to the work we were doing with Andy at Voices. We started to develop as human beings. We started to learn more, and we managed to set up Expert Citizens, recognising that everybody with lived experience are experts in their own lives, and that's where the Expert Citizens sort of name came from. And from there, things have just gone super fast. So, for the first few years of getting involved in that sort of work, I was up and down the country speaking at loads of different events, became a trustee of a £150 million charity foundation, TV stuff, radio, newspaper articles, wrote an article for The Guardian, even though I physically can't put pen to paper, but with the beauty of voice recognition and technology, I was able to do that, and then we're here today.